All right, so today we're going to be diving into some pretty exciting news out of the aviation world. Ethiopian Airlines just picked up Africa's very first Airbus A350-1000.
Wow.
Pretty big deal, right? Not just for, the airline itself, but for, for the whole continent, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what's really interesting here is that this is more than just sort of a new plane, right? This is about Ethiopian Airlines trying to position itself as a leader, in this
Right.
rapidly changing aviation landscape, not just in Africa, but, on a global scale too.
Yeah, for sure. And, think about it. When this A350-1000 landed in Addis Ababa, it was like a huge event.
Right.
There were government ministers there, VIPs, the whole nine yards.
It's a big party.
Yeah. So clearly they're not messing around here. They really want to make a statement.
Want to make a splash.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess to get us started, I'm curious, what are your initial thoughts about this A350-1000? What makes it stand out in a market that's already, pretty saturated with long-haul aircraft?
Yeah, well, fuel efficiency is becoming increasingly crucial, especially with rising fuel costs these days, right? And this aircraft is, it's known for that. The A350-1000's design, it incorporates all these advanced technologies that really reduce fuel consumption compared to, some of the older models out there. And this can really translate into cost savings for the airline, which, ideally, hopefully, they pass on to passengers, right? So more competitive fares.
Yeah, that's... that'd be great news for folks like us who love to travel.
Absolutely.
More affordable flights. Who doesn't want that?
For sure.
But beyond fuel efficiency, what else makes this A350-1000 a good fit for what Ethiopian Airlines is trying to do with their goals and ambitions?
Yeah, well, one really key factor here is its extended range, right? The A350-1000 can fly a lot farther than a lot of the planes that are currently in their fleet, and this opens up a whole lot of possibilities. Think new direct routes, destinations that are farther afield, which ultimately means shorter travel times and more convenience for passengers. Imagine like you could potentially fly directly from Addis Ababa to places that used to require a layover.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about potentially like much smoother travel experiences to, more places around the world.
Exactly.
And what about the passenger experience itself? Ethiopian Airlines, they called this plane, this particular aircraft, Ethiopia Land of Origins, which, I got to say, that seems like a pretty smart move from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant when you think about it. They're really leveraging that sense of national pride, right? And they're promoting Ethiopia's rich history and culture. It creates this really unique brand identity for the aircraft itself, and I think it just enhances the overall travel experience.
Right.
Even before you step foot on the plane.
For sure.
They're turning the plane into like a cultural ambassador.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this, state-of-the-art, fuel-efficient aircraft. It can fly really far. It's got a pretty cool name.
Chechi, yeah.
But we also got to remember the bigger picture here. Ethiopian Airlines, they've set some pretty ambitious goals for the future. Like they're aiming to transport something like 67 million passengers every year and generate a whopping $25 billion in revenue by 2035.
That's a lot of passengers.
It is, yeah. And a lot of revenue.
Yeah, those are incredibly ambitious goals, and to actually achieve them, it's gonna require a lot, like a multifaceted approach. And thing. Acquiring this A350-1000, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
They're also gonna have to expand their route network strategically. They're gonna have to really focus on delivering like top-notch customer service and make sure that they can navigate all the complexities of international aviation regulations. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not just about having shiny new planes.
No.
But speaking of their fleet, it's already pretty impressive, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right now they have a fleet of 147 aircraft connecting 139 international destinations and 22 domestic destinations.
Wow.
Yeah. And just to give you an idea of, how committed they are to growth, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed recently announced plans to buy an additional 124 aircraft.
124. Wow. That's some serious expansion. But this rapid growth, it does raise a pretty crucial question. Can Ethiopian Airlines and really Ethiopia itself, can they actually handle the logistical and economic demands of, something this massive?
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the potential challenges that they might face?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, rapid growth, it can be kind of a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, on the one hand, it can bring a lot of economic benefits, right? Think about job creation, a boost in tourism, a stronger position for Ethiopia on the world stage.
Right, right.
So there are definitely some upsides.
Yeah, those are all, those are all good things, but I imagine there are also some potential downsides, right? Like growing pains along the way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, managing a fleet that large, making sure that safety and training standards are up to par across the board. I mean, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a lot to juggle.
It is, and it's not just the logistics of it all either.
What do you mean?
Well, think about the financial implications, right? I mean,
Yeah.
acquiring and maintaining a fleet of that size, that requires a lot of investment, a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Ethiopian Airlines is going to have to be very careful.
Yeah.
They're going to have to walk this tightrope, balancing their ambitions with sustainable financial management.
Right, right. It's a delicate balance for sure. So I guess let's maybe circle back to the star of the show here, the A350-1000. We talked about its fuel efficiency and its range, but I'm curious, what about the nitty-gritty details? What makes this aircraft so unique from a technical standpoint?
Okay, so the A350-1000, it's known for its innovative design. It can hold, depending on the configuration, it can hold up to 440 passengers.
Wow.
But it's not just about, cramming in as many seats as possible. The cabin, it's actually designed with passenger comfort in mind. They've got larger overhead bins. They've got these advanced air filtration systems, and they even have like mood lighting to help reduce jet lag.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about the mood lighting. So they're really it sounds like they're really trying to make the whole experience, as comfortable as possible for the passengers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely prioritizing the passenger experience.
Yeah. And I'm also curious, is there anything else about the aircraft's design that contributes to its fuel efficiency? We touched on that a bit earlier, but
Yeah. So the A350-1000, it's got a lightweight carbon fiber fuselage and wings,
okay.
which means that the overall weight of the aircraft is reduced, right? Then that directly translates to less fuel consumption. Plus, the engines themselves, they're incredibly advanced. They're optimized for maximum efficiency, especially on those long haul flights.
So it's like a combination of a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
The aerodynamic design, the materials they're using, the engine technology. It really does sound pretty impressive.
It's cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, but we also have to remember that this acquisition, it's not happening in a vacuum, right?
Right.
Ethiopian Airlines is facing a lot of competition, not just within Africa, but globally as well.
Yeah.
So how do you see this new aircraft, this A350-1000, helping them stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Competition in the aviation industry it's fierce, but I think the A350-1000 it gives Ethiopian Airlines like a real advantage here. It's a fuel efficiency that's going to help them control their costs, which could lead to, more competitive fares for passengers. Its long range capabilities, we talked about that. That's going to open up new direct routes, which could give them an edge over competitors who, maybe have less efficient aircraft or a more limited range. And then there's the passenger experience, right? We were talking about the comfortable cabins, the reduced travel times. I mean, that could be a major factor for travelers when they're deciding, which airline to fly with.
It's like they're trying to appeal to everyone,
right?
Like folks who are budget conscious, but also those who prioritize comfort and convenience.
Exactly. Yeah, they're trying to capture a wider range of passengers.
And we talked earlier about how they named this particular aircraft Ethiopia, Land of Origins. What are your thoughts on that branding strategy?
I think it's a really smart move. I mean, they're tapping into the sense of national pride,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're positioning Ethiopian Airlines as kind of like an ambassador for Ethiopia's history and culture. It's subtle, but it's effective. It creates this narrative around the aircraft. It's not just a plane, it's a symbol of Ethiopia's heritage and ambition.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like they're adding this extra layer of meaning to the whole travel experience.
All right.
It's interesting how they're weaving in these cultural elements into their branding. Do you think this could I don't know, do you think this could influence uh travelers' perceptions of Ethiopia as a destination?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, it definitely piques your curiosity, right? It kind of invites you to explore Ethiopia beyond just the airport, and it positions Ethiopia as this modern, forward-thinking nation, which is really important, especially in such a competitive global market where airlines are constantly, looking for ways to differentiate themselves.
Right, right. So it's not just about getting people from point A to point B. It's about the whole experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's maybe shift gears a little bit and then talk about some of the potential challenges here. We touched on the financial and logistical aspects earlier, but what about the human element? Can Ethiopian Airlines keep up with the demand for skilled personnel, right?
Yeah.
Like pilots, engineers, ground staff. I mean, they're going to need a lot of people to operate and maintain this growing fleet.
That's a huge factor, and it's something they're going to have to address very carefully. Training pilots, training engineers, ground staff, making sure that everyone is meeting international safety standards. I mean, it's a monumental task.
Yeah,
They're going to need to invest heavily in training programs and infrastructure just to keep up with the pace of their expansion.
right. It's like they're building this whole ecosystem around their growth. It's not just about the planes themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's much bigger than that.
And I'm also curious about the ripple effects that this expansion could have on Ethiopia as a whole.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the potential impact on the country's economy and its global standing?
Well, that's what makes this whole story so fascinating, right? It goes way beyond just the world of aviation. I mean, a thriving airline, it can be a real catalyst for economic growth. It can stimulate tourism, it can facilitate trade, it can attract foreign investment. Ethiopian Airlines' success, it really could elevate Ethiopia's position on the world stage, not just as an aviation hub, but as a major player in the global economy.
Right, right. It's a much bigger story than just one airline.
Exactly.
So we've talked about a lot in this deep dive. The A350-1000, its specs, Ethiopian Airlines growth plans, even the impact this could all have on Ethiopia's economy as a whole.
Yeah.
But I guess the big question now is, what does the future hold for Ethiopian Airlines? As they embark on this pretty ambitious journey.
Yeah, well, they've definitely set a challenging course for themselves, but it's exciting too. I mean, they really want to become a major player in global aviation, not just a regional leader. And with this A350-1000, with their plans to expand their fleet, they're definitely taking the right steps to get there.
Yeah, for sure. But as we've discussed, it's not just about the planes themselves, right?
Yeah.
So what else do you think is going to be really crucial for them to succeed in this incredibly competitive industry?
Well, I think strategic partnerships are going to be key. They need to collaborate with other airlines, with airports, with tourism boards to really expand their network and offer, those seamless travel experiences that people are looking for these days.
Right, right. So it's about kind of leveraging the strengths of others and building a network that goes beyond their own planes and their own routes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the passenger experience itself? How important do you think that's going to be in terms of differentiating themselves from the competition?
It's more important now than ever before, I think. I mean, passengers have so many choices these days. So Ethiopian Airlines is going to have to they're going to have to go above and beyond to provide a truly memorable and enjoyable experience. Think personalized services, digital innovations, a real focus on comfort and convenience throughout the entire journey.
So it's not enough to just meet people's expectations. You got to exceed them.
Exactly. You got to anticipate what they need before they even know they need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Anticipate their needs. And we talked about the potential economic benefits for Ethiopia, as a country, but I'm curious, what about the potential downsides? Could this rapid growth, could it put a strain on the country's infrastructure or resources? I mean,
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Rapid growth, it can sometimes lead to imbalances. So Ethiopia is going to have to make sure that they're investing in infrastructure development, right,
right.
to keep pace with the airline's expansion. And this means airports, transportation networks, even the tourism sector. They need to make sure that the benefits of growth are shared equitably.
Right. So it's about making sure that everyone benefits, not just a select few.
Right. It's about sustainability too, making
Yeah.
sure that this growth is something that can be sustained over the long term.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess let's zoom out even further now, right? And look at the really big picture here. How might Ethiopian Airlines' success, how might it impact the aviation landscape as a whole, in Africa and maybe even globally?
Well, it could be a real game changer, honestly. I mean, a thriving Ethiopian Airlines, it could inspire other African airlines to step up their game, and that could lead to, better connectivity across the continent, more competitive fares, just an overall boost for the African aviation industry as a whole.
Yeah, I see.
And it could even, it could even shift the balance of power in global aviation a bit, challenging the dominance of some of those traditional hubs and creating, new opportunities for travelers and businesses alike.
So it's not just about one airline. It's
Yeah,
potentially about, transforming an entire industry.
exactly. It's about changing the way people travel, the way goods are transported, the way we connect with each other around the world.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want, our listener to really think about?
I think the key takeaway here is that Ethiopian Airlines story, it's a story of ambition, it's a story of innovation, and it's a story of belief in Africa's potential.
Hmm.
You know, it's a story that shows what's possible when you have a clear vision, when you're willing to make bold investments, and when you're committed to excellence. And it's a story that's still being written. It's full of possibilities, but also challenges.
It's been a fascinating journey exploring this story with you. And for you, our listener, we leave you with this final thought. As Ethiopian Airlines, as they continue to grow, as they connect more people across the globe, how might this impact your own life? Your travel plans, your business opportunities, even your perspective on the world. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those wings soaring. Until next time.